Welcome, everybody, to Brewster's, the home of the KillerFrogs.com Hour. Sean, tonight's a big night in KillerFrogs Hour history.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I tell you what, first of all, I'm going to introduce you, Sean. This is Sean Fouché. Like I said, our right-hand man. My wife likes to call him Junior. No, he calls him Junior. I guess that's Junior. I'm Scott Nix, and I'll be your host tonight. But we got a special guy with us tonight, Sean.
We do.
Well,
a guy I went to school with.
You went to school with this guy.
I did.
I know, and I certainly didn't. But anyway, guys, I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than this. Modern-day football history at TCU, modern-day history in the NFL, the biggest running back the name you can come to. How about a great hand for LaDainian Tomlinson, LT. They still love you.
That is a welcome. Thank you.
They still love you, man.
Welcome. Yes.
You know.
Well, I think that's appreciation right there.
I
think that's what that is, and you know, I certainly appreciated the cheers running up and down those Almond G. Carter fields. You know, and
absolutely,
I'm excited to be.
Well, we appreciate you coming down here tonight with us. We know we're small fries to the NFL Network. We get that. You stepped down a little bit, but you know what you did? You showed your love once again, willing to give and come out in the TCU Fort Worth community and give back. And that's what you've done here tonight. You've got a huge crowd of people. They're just so excited to see you out in public and come down here and listen to what you have to say. And you're to be commended for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Very good. Okay. Well, we see LT, and we've seen him on TV a lot. You see him talk if you watch the NFL Network, but we don't get really damn deep with LT very often. We don't find out a lot about, and unfortunately, he came from a rat hole place called Waco.
We won't hold that.
Yeah, but it only really became a rat hole after LT left there.
And Art Briles arrived.
Isn't that right? Something like that. But, you were born in Rosebud, Texas.
Yes.
Is Rosebud right there at Waco?
It's actually right by Marlin, which is, where my family is from.
Okay.
And so it's about 10 minutes from Marlin. And I was born there because Marlin didn't have a hospital, so we had to drive to Rosebud so I can be born.
Is that hospital
so thank
still
God
there?
For Rosebud.
Is that hospital still there? No, it's not.
No.
Is there like a stake there or anything that says LT?
Historical marker?
Historical marker?
There should be.
You know what? I haven't been back in a while, but I don't think there is.
Shannon, will you get him a historical marker there for where he was born? That's something we ought to do. Killer Frogs will sponsor that. We'll get that in there.
We'll call Governor-elect Abbott.
That right.
Get him on the job there.
That's right. Anyway, so you're beginning. So you were born there. So you moved into Marlin. How long were you in Marlin?
I was in Marlin up until about 6 years old.
6 years old.
And then we made the transition to Waco.
Okay.
My mother took a better job, and that's how my life started in Waco.
And your mother is Lorraine Chappelle, and your father was Oliver Tomlinson.
Yes.
That's right. And LT, I'm going to let you say it. What's your full name? You got to say it.
Well, no.
Come on.
It's LaDainian Tomlinson.
Okay, all right. We'll go with that here. I think it was kind of cool. I saw it today on the internet. So anyway,
funny.
I'll be nice.
You have to look that one up.
You got to look that up to find out what his real name is, okay?
Is that on Wikipedia?
I do want him to come back again, so I won't say it. Anyway, okay. Well, you told me, and what I've heard from other people and other things I've looked at, your father left early in your life, and your mother was kind of your inspiration.
Yeah.
I mean, she was a hard-working lady. She was a preacher lady, right?
She was a preacher, but not early on now. Early on, she was, she was just trying to make a way for a family, single-parent mother. Like you said, my father had left, and, my father had another family. And so he was trying to go back and forth, take care of both families.
Right.
But my mother was left to, do most of the things in terms of raising 2 boys and a daughter, so she was the mother and the father.
having to earn the living and put bread on the table.
And discipline.
And discipline.
So.
Well, apparently she did a good job with discipline.
I would say so.
Yeah, you're a pretty disciplined guy. There's no doubt about that, for sure. You don't do what you did in your life without some discipline. So we thank your mother a lot for instilling that. So you got involved in Pop Warner ball early, is that right?
That is correct. Actually, the first sport that I played was baseball.
What position?
Well, it was T-ball.
T-ball, okay, all right.
But no, so baseball was the first sport I played, and I actually played baseball every single year. And so
wow.
I eventually grew to be a pretty good baseball player where my freshman year on varsity, I started at third base and left field. So
wow. Well, you know, we got the Whitties and we got the Finnegans over here.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of referencing baseball, just to acknowledge those guys over there.
You know, they've got two pretty big stud sons over there. You know, Brandon just come out of both the College World Series and the World Series. So Major League World Series. So baseball's a pretty fun game.
It is fun, and I've been fortunate, to connect with Brandon, and so we've had contact. And so, I'm so proud of him and the class he showed.
What a class act.
Yeah, he's definitely representing TCU, and we're so proud of him.
Right. That's exactly right. You know, Brandon's 21, and, he's got his whole future in front of him, and he's already reached the pinnacle of the sport his first year. I mean, we'll get to it a little later, but wouldn't that have been kind of cool? You went to Super Bowl the first year and didn't. I mean, that's amazing that he was able to do that
yes.
The very first year. Okay, so what the legacy is, or the legend, is the first time that you touched the ball in Pop Warner football, you scored a touchdown.
That is correct. The first two times, actually.
First two times.
Because the first run was called back because of a penalty, so I had to do it again, and then I ran another touchdown.
You had a little deja vu on that on the 406 game. You would have had that 900 yards. That not happened later on.
You know what's funny about that is I think about some of the games we had back then, and some of my, some of my linemen and my friends, we always talk about it. Actually, I had more yards against Northwestern my junior year. But they called like 2 50-yard runs back. I had like over 300. So
I do remember that.
Do the math, I had about 450 against Northwestern.
Exactly. You could have said it twice. Could have said
I
it
didn't think
twice.
about that.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. That would have been awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Set your own record once and then again. That would have been awesome. We'll get to that glorious time coming forward. Okay, so you get through. When did you – okay, your Pop Warner ball, getting on into junior high, getting on up there. When did it first hit you that, hey, I'm pretty good at this athletics. I want to maybe get to play college sports?
Well, I always knew I wanted to play college. It was never a doubt in my mind from a very young age that I wanted to go to college and play ball. But amongst my peers, I was always that really fast kid, and I was quicker than everyone else, and I kind of had to play with the older guys.
Right.
But I played quarterback, believe it or not. Most of my career up until about high school, I was playing quarterback. And I was the Michael Vick of junior high and Pop Warner. All I did was run.
Well, you had 7 passes in the NFL for touchdowns. I got ski where you got this quarterback. So you did have a good arm all along.
I had a decent arm.
Well,
I would say so.
I don't remember. Did we throw a halfback pass? We'll get to that later, though, at TCU.
I couldn't get Sullivan or Francione to do it.
I don't remember.
I thought we did it at least once.
We did a lot of trick plays, but it wasn't that.
I think it was with Basil Mitchell. I think we did it.
I mean, why would you waste it down to him throwing when he was going to run it for 80?
Well, yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
Every
you know
time
what
he
I'm
touches
saying?
the ball,
So
it's
anyway,
probably going to be 6.
Absolutely. Right? Okay. So you get to high school. You go to Waco University High School?
Yes.
Is that correct? Tell us a little bit about your career there. You were playing all sports then, weren't you? Like I said, you're starting as a freshman in baseball. You're doing track. Aren't you playing basketball?
Ironically, we moved back my freshman year. We moved back to Marlin.
Okay.
My grandmother was getting real sick, and my mother wanted to be close to her to take care of her, and so we could kind of be with each other in her last days. And so I went to Marlin High School for 1 year, and I majored in, not majored, but I lettered in all sports, like you mentioned, track, basketball, baseball, football. Started most of them on varsity, then started basketball, but I was on varsity. After that year, I moved to Waco University. And so for the rest of the 3 years, I lettered in football, basketball, and track. I gave up baseball because I knew that I wanted to play football in college. And my thought was, well, what's going to help me be a better football player? Track. I have to get faster. You know, I have to work on running away from people. I better play track. And so I stopped running track because, I stopped playing baseball because track and baseball was at the same time. And it was hard to do both. And so that's how my career in baseball ended. And so for the rest of my time in high school, I ran track, played basketball, and played football.
Awesome, awesome. And you weren't like your buddy Shannon over here in Iowa, all-state choir, right?
No.
No, okay. Shannon, weren't you all-state choir? Yeah, I think Shannon Brazil was all-state choir. That's what it was. No, Shannon was one of the greatest linebackers, they said, in the history of Texas high school football.
Yeah, he really was.
We'll talk about him later. We don't want to talk about him.
He was a hard hitter, too.
He's a hard hitter, yeah. So anyway, okay, so we get Waco University, have a great career. You're the Syntex Offensive Player of the Year.
Yep.
There, you made a pretty big accomplishment there, but you didn't play running back till like your senior year. Is that correct?
That is correct. Much like it's crazy how similar my high school career and my college career really is, because just like college, I didn't get a chance to play running back to my later years. And you're right, I didn't get the chance to play running back until my senior year in high school. And I had a great year. You know, I had 2,500 yards, 39 touchdowns. And TCU was actually the first school to come offer me a scholarship. You know, after like my second game, they came to my school, and I sat down with Steve Bricky, you know, the coach at the time for TCU. And,
he was an assistant under Pat Sullivan, right?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
But if you guys know Steve Bricky, he had a allergy problem, and so he would talk and then he would go. You know, and so
God bless you.
And so the first time he sat down, he scared the living bejesus out of me.
There you go.
You know, and he almost blew the chance of me coming to TCU because of the way that bad allergy that he had. My goodness.
Well, it's a good thing that was all before the bird flu and all this other stuff we have. You know, Ebola and everything. You may not even come to TCU with that. That's right.
That would have been tough.
So the point is that although you were looked at by a lot of universities, TCU was one of your top choices that you really even had because you only played running back 1 year. They didn't know about you well enough.
That is correct. You know, it was one of those situations where some of the bigger schools at the time, you know, the big national powers that you hear about, Florida States and Miami and all those schools, of course, I didn't get any looks at them. Not even, you know, University of Texas, I didn't get a look from them. And so it came down to TCU, honestly, and my hometown team at the time, Baylor, you know. And of course, you know, of course, at the time, my mother had moved to Dallas already. And so that actually had a big part in me wanting to be close to my mother.
How much did your mother have in it decision? I mean, was she more for the Frogs than?
Well, of course.
Okay.
She wanted to be able to see me play every week, you know, when I played at home. And here's the thing. I wanted to be able to go home for home cooking. So that was the main thing.
I've seen the Campbell's Chunky Soup commercials. I know how it goes. You better listen to Mom, that's for sure. I've seen you on there with Mom, you know. I know how that works for you for sure. Well, you got that. So you come to Fort Worth, Texas, and you're a TCU Horned Frog, but nobody knows who LaDainian Tomlinson is there. And you're just one of the guys. Is that right? You've got some good teammates. They've come off a tough time right about that time getting going here. I guess Franchione, was he in here yet, or did you have 1 year with Sullivan?
I had 1 year with Sullivan.
You had your 1 year with Sullivan.
Yep.
And then you came in your first 2 years, and you were used interchangeably with Basil Mitchell. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's right. So you were in here in 97, came in, and I think it was that time, Sean, that we started seeing flashes of number 5 in 97 and 98. You saw a little extra gear in there, a little extra kick. Basil was good, and I'm sure he's friends with you to this day, Basil Mitchell, and y'all did it. But there was just something about that young guy in there that was in there. I can call you young back then, baby. Anyway, still younger than me. But anyway, seeing that number 5 flash by like that and said, there's something pretty special about that guy. And, you know, we went on, and I know you and I have talked about the Sun Bowl before, another interview, but it was the end of your sophomore year, I guess, there at the Sun Bowl. Is that correct, when we made the Sun Bowl?
Yes.
And we get to El Paso, and you and Basil switch off. I think, didn't y'all have a great relationship? Didn't I hear you talk that you were pretty unselfish about your playing time and let Basil go in there when he was going well, when you could have played a little more?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we had a great team. Let me first say that the guys that we had on that team were great guys that worked hard. They really wanted to change the dynamic of the program at that time, because my first year we won 1 game, and it was against SMU. So it was a big game. As long as we beat SMU.
And you kept them out of the bowl.
Yeah.
By doing that. That kept them out of the bowl. That's right.
We did. And so my sophomore year, Francione comes in, and he leaves everything open for competition. All the positions are open for competitions. Well, Basil and I battled at that time, and I ended up winning the starting job going into fall camp.
Right.
But at the time, our fullbacks wasn't playing good at all. They weren't playing good football. And Francione needed a fullback.
That's right.
And so he called me in the office, and he says to me, listen, I know you won the running back job, but, boy, I really need you to play fullback. And, I'll have you and Basil in there, and we'll light it up. You know, you'll get a chance to play tailback sometimes, but I need 2 of my best running backs on the field at the same time. Well, I bought that, and I moved to fullback for half the season. Did a great job, I think, of blocking for Basil.
Little thunder and lightning there.
You know, but I wasn't getting any of the glory or anything, and that was fine.
Try to be an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had to strengthen my neck a little bit from going in there and hitting those big 250-pound
hit the lunchroom to be an offensive lineman there.
You're absolutely right. You do have to hit the lunch table.
That's right.
You know, 2 or
Couple
3 times. Yeah.
Well, so it was the defining moment that everybody at TCU talks about, though, the Sun Bowl versus USC. And what was the linebacker's name?
Claiborne.
Claiborne. And they had popped off so much how they were going to drill y'all, and he was just flailing at you and Basil the whole game. Couldn't catch up to you, and the defense was absolutely incredible that game. I think they held them to negative yardage, and that was Carson Palmer's freshman year.
Yeah.
You know, and he's still in the league.
Yeah.
And so, but that was a great win to turn us out, and what a great thing to get you ready for your next 2 years at TCU.
No question about it. That set the stage, you know, because we started to believe that we can compete against some of the national powers in the country. But that game was special because we were already ready to play. But they enhanced it when they spit on the frog, the horn frog. You guys know the big horn that we blow after we score a touchdown.
The frog horn, that's right.
The frog horn. Well, they spit on it, you know, and it ticked all of our guys off. And so we had something extra on the table, extra incentive to beat USC. And so that really set the stage for us going into the offseason that, listen, we can compete with USC, Texas. It doesn't matter. You line them up, and we will beat them.
And you're right. And we did beat them in the Sun Bowl. That was a great game. Everybody remembered. Hopefully you got to be part of that. Me and my brothers went out there, and it was a great deal.
You guys partied?
Oh, we partied. We partied on New Year's Eve. We sure did. We had a good time. But I'll tell you, it was fun putting in the USC fans' face just like it was, like you were talking about spitting, because they thought they were going to roll us. And I can remember going around in the corridor after the game saying, do you think we're going to let USC in the WAC next year? You know. So anyway, so we had some fun with them that night. That was a great time. From there, I mean, we get to your junior year, and my goodness, it'll always be one of the biggest times in college football history. You just doesn't get any bigger than what you did your junior year by having the single game rushing record of 406 yards. I mean, 406 yards. I mean, I can't even fathom that, and I can't tell you. You had a couple of big runs called back. It could have been over 500 easy.
And I still can't fathom it.
I really can't either.
I mean, it's really unbelievable to average 100 yards per quarter.
100 yards per quarter. And did anybody give you a massage or anything after that?
I wish.
No, nobody did that.
Well, I wish that crowd saw.
Had you met LaTorsha yet by then?
No.
No,
But I did
okay.
have a
We're not going to
girlfriend.
talk about that then, because I don't want any trouble with your wife. I can tell you like that. Your wife will take care of me in a heartbeat, and I don't want any of that to happen. So, anyway, so you had a great year, your junior year. You had 1,850 yards running that year, and, I mean, that's a lot of yardage. You led the nation in rushing, and you went to the first Mobile Bowl.
Yeah.
And, we thought that was a huge deal then. We'd gone to the Sun Bowl, going to the Mobile Bowl. We're going back-to-back, and you guys went out there and took care of East Carolina.
Yeah, we did. And, again, it was one of those, those stepping stones for us. As a team, we were building a great program, and we had, great guys on the team, great leadership from the upperclassmen. And that was just, for us, kind of defining who we were going to be that next year going into our senior year.
Right. And you did. And then you get your senior year. And we talk about your senior year. I mean, it's even more yardage. You didn't have – well, we talked about another game earlier, that Northwestern game.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, that could have been two of them. I mean, it was incredible what we saw on the field that year. I mean, you just don't – some of us that had seen something like that in the mid-'80s back when Kenneth Davis was here.
Yeah.
The Temple Tornado.
Yeah.
And we had not seen those kind of breakaway runs since then. And we thought, wow, we'll never see that again. And then out of nowhere came LT, LaDainian Tomlinson, gave us that thrill again. We get ready for your senior year. A lot of anticipation that senior year.
A lot of anticipation.
Everybody knew who you were by then.
That's right.
Absolutely. And but the thing, the anticipation came because we had so many seniors, and we were expected to, be ranked, really high nationally, possibly in the top 10. That was our expectations as a team. And so, we started phenomenal. I mean, really.
Who was some of your big leaders on that team, that 2000 team?
Oh, my goodness. Well, for one.
Are we going to put Shannon in that group?
Let me say we had 6 guys drafted within the first 4 rounds.
Wow.
Guys like Sean Wortham.
Right.
Aaron Schobel.
Oh, man. All pro.
Russell Gary. Shannon Brazil, Cedric James, Mike Keekly, David Bobo, Jeff Milliken. Victor Payne, George Lane.
Incredible.
I can keep going. You
could. That was an incredible team.
Now.
Incredible team. We got tripped up that year. You had a great year. You ran for, I think it was 2,158 yards, had 22 TDs. 22 touchdowns.
Yeah,
that's a lot of touchdowns.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You ran the nation again. But we had a trip out in Fresno, did we not?
In San Jose. Yeah, I remember that.
San Jose, that's where it was. Yeah. I remember that. San Jose.
I would say God's blessing just wasn't on our team that day.
It wasn't our time.
It wasn't our time because they one of their players had went through a tragic event, and he was paralyzed.
That's correct.
And he was just coming back for the first time being honored at that stadium. And, we look out there and we see this guy that was like us.
Right.
That couldn't walk anymore. And we saw the reaction of their fans and everything that they gave us. It was just too much for us to overcome.
Right.
We gave it our best shot, but it wasn't our night.
A little home referee in there, too.
Yeah, of course. I wasn't going to mention that.
Yeah, but that was certainly there that night. And then the end of the season comes, the speculation, right in the middle of all your accolades. You're up for the Heisman, and Coach Franchione decides he's going to Alabama, and the Frog Nation is really upset, like, why are you going to serve this now when we got LT, right here at the pinnacle for the Heisman? He's done great things. that team was a very, very talented team. I mean, that was not a mid-major team by any. They could have played with anybody that year, and then that happens. And but the good things keep rolling for you. You get all kinds of accolades. I know you were the Doak Walker Award winner that year. You won the Jim Brown Trophy. You were the Senior Bowl MVP. You were the MVP of the Mobile Bowl. And even though we lost the Mobile Bowl, are we going to blame that on Franchione for wearing that red tie at your Heisman deal?
Of course we are.
I mean, what was up with that? Did you even notice he had on that red tie?
Yes.
You did. And I know you're close with Coach Franchione, but that had to hurt your feelings just a little bit.
Truth is truth now.
Right, truth is truth. He'd know that, and I thought it was the wrong thing to do. That wasn't to take attention away from you, but I thought Coach Franchione took a little attention. We won't be too hard on him. He did some good things. You know what the best thing that Coach Franchione ever did for us? He brought us Gary Patterson. He brought us Gary Patterson, and that's the best thing that could have happened. Sean, I think we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll come back on the other side here, finish up, and we'll go through some of LT's NFL career. I mean, what can you say? But we'll go forward right here. Take a short break.
Today, as you know, you get 30%
NFL
off of your
career.
food
I mean, what can you say? But we'll go forward right here.
What you didn't know is that every Wednesday they've got Wild Wing Wednesday, 60 cents per wing, a 6-wing minimum. We got 4 different flavors to choose from: buffalo, barbecue bourbon, Thai chili, and the famous Caribbean jerk. Speaking of Caribbean jerks, I'm going to have one myself right now. Go Frogs.
Okay, we're back. We're here live at Brewster's, the home of the Duke, the winning specialty burger in the Fort Worth Magazine. If you hadn't tried the Duke, you've missed it. Some of the best fried pickles here. And tonight is 99 cents. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not 99 cent a wing.
No, it's not.
What is it?
You can't get wings here for 99 cents.
You can't? What do I got to pay for them if I can't get them for 99?
Well, you got to go lower.
Oh, lower it?
Lower.
How much, Sean?
Well, you tell me, Scott. What would you pay for this excellent wing?
I think 60 cents would be good.
60?
60-cent wings at Brewster's. That's where you come on Wednesday night for Wild Wing Wednesday, all day on Wednesdays. Man, we got a crowd in here, and they're here to see the great LaDainian Tomlinson. We're going on. We just finished up going through his career up through TCU, and now we're getting ready. We're getting ready to talk. You know, in this time, though, you met a young lady at TCU. Is that not right?
That is correct. Yep.
And tell me a little bit about this young lady and how y'all met and how this all came together.
Well, I saw her around campus, and I had to go put the Mac down. I mean, what can I say? That's what it was about.
Now,
no. In all honesty,
wasn't he? I heard Russell Gary was trying to take her away from you.
No,
that didn't happen.
None of that went on.
All right, I just want to make sure. All right, yeah, we got Russell Gary in the house too tonight. We got Johnny Collins in the house tonight. We got all kinds of All-Americans and Hall of Famers here tonight.
We do. We got some stars in
absolutely,
in the crowd.
Absolutely.
Okay. No,
go ahead. I want to hear about
I was just going to say, like anything else, you see, I saw her around campus, and I, reached out, and I will say this: from the first time we talked on the phone, probably a week after that moment, we was talking every day.
Talking every day.
We were talking every day.
And it's been since that day?
It's been since that day.
I mean, that's true love, baby.
Yeah, well, I guess so.
Well, and there's a magic. I mean, you're LaDainian, and she is LaTorsha. I mean,
2 LTs now.
2 LTs now. And
makes it easy when you pick out your custom towels and stuff.
That's right. That's good, Sean. Okay. Well, and LaTorsha and you have been married how many years now? You better get this right. 11 years. Okay, 11 years. So you married her on into your career.
Yes.
What we're fixing to talk about. because you were the #1 draft pick, the first round, the #5 pick of the San Diego Chargers in 2000.
2001, yes. And you know, the thing about it, it was like I was born and raised in Texas, of course, and I had never been outside of the state of Texas. And so here I was, a young man going to California for the first time. And so I get off the plane, and I'm looking at palm trees. You know, I'm thinking, like, this is not right, is it?
Where's the humidity?
There is none.
No, I know.
There is none.
I know.
You know, and I'm thinking, really? Is this what I'm about to embark on for the next 10 years?
It was
it's been in this great city with great weather and, you know, surfing and fish tacos and you know, all those kind of things.
You had wanted to go to Cleveland so bad.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
No, you didn't want to go to Cleveland?
No way.
Oh, okay. I didn't think.
I was praying.
All right.
I was in a green room praying Cleveland didn't draft.
Praying, please, Lord. Well, you know, I mean, they insulted you. First, they insulted you at the Heisman the year before. I mean, that's an insult. You should have won the Heisman that year, no doubt. 2 years in a row rushing. You know, set the all-time record. And then you get insulted because you should have been the #1 draft pick that year. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you've proven that. And so,
well, thank you.
You have a deal about proving people wrong, don't you?
Well, you know, that's the way it's always been in my life. Even growing up in the small town of Marlin and Waco, you know, I always had to prove myself, and you know, that was natural for me. But I liked it that way. I like to be able to, you know, go out there and prove what I can do. And even at that time, going into the National Football League, the questions were, how fast is he? He came from an option-style offense. Can he run in a pro-style, you know, system? Can he catch the football? Those were the questions about me.
You were very slow. 4.42. Woo! Lightning.
You know,
lightning, my man. And you weren't just a skinny guy either. I mean,
I was 221 pounds.
It's absolutely solid rock muscle. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. You know, we could go all night, people out here, about his pro career. I mean, we could have gone all night about his college career. There are so many records this man has set, precedents that he set in pro football. You know, he was a Pro Bowl. I'll just go over a few of them. Pro Bowl in 2002, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible. I mean, you know, he played through some tough injuries. You broke some ribs in 2005, you know, during that deal, and was still playing. I mean, that had to have been tough.
It was tough. It hurt like heck, to be honest with you, playing with cracked ribs. But, you know, the thing about it, playing football, you're going to play with injuries. I mean, I can name, you know, separated AC joint that I played with, you know, MCL sprain,
right, groin
strain. So a lot of things you play with, and you probably shouldn't. But being a competitor, you want to be out there with your guys. You want to make sure you're a part of what they're going through, good or bad.
And what a competitor he became, because in 2007, he was awarded the NFL MVP, Player of the Year. Man, I mean, that's the pinnacle of your sport.
Yeah.
That's not on a regional basis, city basis, state basis. That's a world basis of a football player. You're the #1 football player in the world, according to what they said that year. And you had a tremendous year in 2006, 2007. Those were pinnacle years for you.
No question about it. I don't, you know, it's a moment and a time in my life that, you know, I will always cherish because, you know, like you said, it was the pinnacle of my career. But so many memories. You know, I think about sometimes, you know, saying that, boy, I never won a Super Bowl championship, but I had a lot of championship moments.
Oh.
And you know, that's really what it's about, the championship moments that you share with your teammates and your coaches and all the people within that organization. You share those championship moments.
And you had a run of bad luck in those championship moments. It's not that you didn't you got to the AFC championship there in, what, 2008 was it, somewhere
2007,
yeah. 2007, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
New England, right?
Yeah. And
New
but
England.
You know,
you had the last laugh on that.
Yeah,
one,
but
though,
again, he got hurt.
Yeah.
But he got hurt again.
Right,
He had a knee, and you know, he was over there. I remember you sitting over there with the dark shade. In fact, my sister wanted to ask you, how'd you see out of that dark shade? She said that looked like Darth Vader over there. I don't know how you saw that.
It's like sunglasses. You know, looking out of sunglasses, you see just fine, but the people trying to see your eyes, they can't see.
They couldn't see.
That was part of the reason.
You didn't want them reading you
know,
where you're going.
Guys like Ray Lewis, they always tried to look right in your eyes to determine, you know, if they can get a hint of where you may be going. And for me, you know, I always scanned the whole defense so I can know what's going on, and I didn't want to give any tips. You know, you need to get on the World Poker Tour and wear those shade in there. There you go. They wouldn't be able to read you at all. So anyway, all right then. Well, we got through that. Like I said, he was played the AFC Championship game. Unfortunately, they didn't pull that out. He played till 2010, and then you partied with the Chargers. And it wasn't long that you signed with the Jets right after that. And
trading San Diego for New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that was a different environment, was it not? Being the Big Apple and be at the Jets. Tell us about those 2 years.
Well, it was great. It was purposely done to do it that way. I had spent my, you know, you think about it, I spent my entire, you know, I guess young career, amateur career, playing in the great state of Texas, and it doesn't get any bigger. And then the first part of my professional career, I went to the West Coast.
Right.
And then the last part of my career, I went to the East Coast. So it was purposely done to cover a lot of the different regions so people can, you know, kind of see me play. And not to mention endorsements and marketing things.
Yeah, the endorsements were huge. You had some huge ones. Vizio, Campbell. I mean, you did several things. Nike. I mean,
Gatorade,
you had some great endorsements there. And it probably helped you as far as exposure for what you're doing today, and we'll get to that in a minute. But, you know, you played a couple years there, got back to the playoffs with them. You did a fantastic job up there. But you saw the end of your career that you felt like this is about as far as I want to go with it.
Yeah, you know, at the time I had to make a decision. So right after the season was over, the day after, Rex Ryan calls me, and you know, right away he want to re-sign me to come back and be a Jet.
Right.
And you know, at the time I looked at the team, and I just felt like we weren't going to go any further than what we did the previous season, which we were 8-8. And so I just felt like I wasn't going to continue to play and beat myself up.
Wait a second. You were 8-8?
We were 8-8.
I thought you wasn't a Cowboy. I thought the Cowboys are the only team goes 8-8 every year. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I had to throw that in there.
Well, no, speaking of a Cowboy, though, you actually met Emmitt Smith. Meeting Emmitt Smith for that first time was actually a defining moment in your young career. When you were making that decision to walk away from football, did you seek out any advice, or did they give you any advice that was kind of in the back of your mind as you were making that decision?
You know what? I just took time for myself. You know, I actually just talked to family, you know, my wife and mother and different people within my family and close friends. You know, but that time I needed to search within myself, because when you play football and when you're going to get hit, that's something only you can go through. You know, so you have to be prepared mentally and physically to go through that. And so that's what I needed to come to grips. Was I going to beat myself up to go 7-9? And if you think about it, that next year, the Jets went 7-9.
Yeah, they didn't do
6-10.
Yeah, they didn't.
You know, and
so you made a good decision on June 12th. Well, I believe it was June 18th, 2012.
5 days before my birthday.
5 days before your birthday, and you made a decision to step down. And so at that time, before you stepped down, you re-signed with San Diego ceremonially, did you not?
I did. You know, I promised the owner, the president rather, Dean Spanos, when I left, we had a conversation, and he said to me, will you come back and re-sign as a San Diego Charger when you retire? And I gave my word to him that I would do that.
And that was very much Emmitt Smith-like. I mean, same type deal there.
Yeah, well, you know, he was a great mentor of mine, you know, Emmitt Smith. So, class guy. And
so you
I wanted
signed
to do it the same way.
You signed ceremonially with San Diego Chargers one last time and then called it quits. We retired. We're done.
That's it.
Okay.
Close the chapter. Open up another one.
There you are. And LaTorsha was all in with you on this. She was all behind it, ready for you to come home.
Well, yeah. I mean, she. The great thing about Torsha is she's encouraging. She's going to give her opinion, but she's never going to, sway me any way.
And y'all had a fantastic thing happen a couple years before. You had your first son in Dayton. Is that not correct?
That is correct, yeah. In New Jersey, we had Dayton, and then the year after, we had our daughter, Dea.
And
so both of our kids
that kind of changes your thinking a little bit, doesn't it? Becoming a family man?
Absolutely. It changes everything.
Everything. Because your family, your kids and your wife are your priority in life over football.
Well, they are my legacy.
That's right.
That's the way I look at it. I wanted to be daddy. I wanted to be daddy and a great husband. And so part of that being daddy is being available, being there, from day one. And so that had a big thing to do with it.
Okay. Well, let me just say, this is the 5th time. I'm going to say he's the 5th all-time rushing leader in the NFL. He's 2nd in rushing TDs, 3rd in total TDs, and one of the greatest running backs in NFL history. And as you said, give him a big hand for that. That's awesome. And you've done so much since then. You talked about going to the East, and that probably helped you score this position you have with the NFL Network now.
Well, I think it has a little bit to do with it.
We're rookies. You're a pro. You're on there every Sunday.
I'm not a pro.
You're absolutely pro.
I'm still learning, and like anything, you got to educate yourself, on how to do television, because it's different. A lot of times, we're just acting, even though we're talking about football, you got to keep the audience intrigued. And so I'm learning as I go, but it's fun. I get to talk about football.
How much preparation does that take on your part?
It actually takes some preparation time.
It does.
It does because, now I have to know about every team, what everyone is doing. I used to only have to worry about my team. And so now you got to make sure you're paying attention to everything that's going on.
And how does it feel? You get some pretty pointed observation. I think Mr. Clowney might not be real happy with you right now.
Well, the thing about that is, the one thing that I try to do is give constructive criticism, but challenge these young men. And, my point was, if you're going to take the money and then not want to practice and not want to play, to me, that's a character flaw. Because you got more men in that locker room that's depending on you. You're getting paid more than them, a lot of those guys. And so they need you on the field. And then, from what I understand, he's not telling the full truth to his coaches. And that's always a bad thing, in my opinion. If I was on that team, these are some of the same things that I would be saying to LaDainian Clowney.
Well, you're a character guy, and the deal is that you speak out of character. You don't have flaws. We all make mistakes, but you've done an outstanding job, and we need more leaders like you, not only in the NFL, but also in our college locker rooms with the kids today and what they're doing now. And I know that the kids at TCU look up to you, those young men there. They know what a stud you are, and you've got to have some influence on those. And I hope you get to talk to them sometimes. Do you ever get to talk to any of the TCU players?
Yeah, well, from time to time, I do. I stop by as much as I can, and, I get a chance to meet some of the new guys most of the time when I'm there during the summer, the incoming freshmen. And then the guys that stay around and work out, of course, I talk to those guys. And then, a couple of guys, they have my phone number. Borkins has my phone number. He can call me, we talk or whatever. And so those are the type of things I want to encourage our young men at TCU and just keep them lifted up.
Wait, we're talking about everybody get their pen. What's your phone number, by the way?
WACO.
Oh, okay, there we go. One last thing here before we get off the LaDainians. You've done some other great things. LT's Touching Lives Foundation. Yeah. And I know that's a big part of what you're doing here. You've done it in San Diego. I think you've done it in New York, and you've done it here in Fort Worth. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, we do what we can. That's the first thing that I say. But we engage in a number of programs to help, build up our community. Whether that's giving out scholarships, feeding people. We do what we can to help and uplift people. And one of the things that we've been doing for, probably 15 years now is our annual Thanksgiving drive, where we call it Giving Thanks with LT, where we give out 2,100 Thanksgiving dinners to families that can't afford to have Thanksgiving. And that's important to me because Thanksgiving was that one time of the year that all of my family got together and we got to fellowship and love on each other. That was the one time, and I always thought that was just an important part for families to have Thanksgiving, that one holiday, if they could, spend time with each other on Thanksgiving.
And you don't just sit back there and tell people what to do. You're involved.
Oh, absolutely.
You're out there working it.
Yeah, I want to be a part of it. I want to be giving out turkeys and, telling people have a great Thanksgiving and God bless you. Those are the type of things that I saw growing up with the type of family I had. And so we just do what we can. So that's on November 22nd.
November 22nd, okay.
And then we have a 5K that we do at Motor Texas Speedway. It's going to be at night, so the lights are going to be on, and it's going to be pretty cool.
Are you
That's
gonna run
December
in it?
12th. Of course I am.
You're
I'm
going to run
running
it?
back. Of course I'm a runner.
You need me to come out there and pace you a little bit?
I would love that.
Okay.
That would be awesome.
Anybody got a four-wheeler I can borrow? Okay, all right.
We'll get you a Segway.
But for all the things that we do, you can go to LaDainianTomlinson.com and look it up and participate with us. We would encourage all the TCU people, to come out.
And we'll put up that stuff on Killer Frogs for you, too. We've had a great partnership with you and your foundation. We are glad to be partners with you in what you're doing. And you also got a great banquet going on where y'all recognize the top high school players. Isn't that coming in early December?
January 15th.
January 15th this year, huh?
Yeah, and that's, that's awesome because here's the thing. And, I like challenges, but when I got back, I heard that Dallas had this Gridiron Club banquet where they honored the Dallas high school kids and coaches on that side of town. And I said, what about the Fort Worth kids?
There we go.
What about us on this? And so that's what we did. We created our own banquet. And
there we
honored
go.
the northwest side of Fort Worth, this Metroplex rather, and we give out Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Coach of the Year. And so that's what we're doing.
So do I take it that you put your house for sale up in San Diego? That I read about that place.
It's sold.
You sold it?
Yeah, it's sold.
I thought you sold it too low. Look, man.
Well,
did you take the Mustang out of the
I got what I wanted from
it?
I got what I wanted from it. No, the Mustang is still
the Mustang
there.
was part of it?
The Mustang was part of it.
Oh, guys, y'all got to go online and look at this cool house he sold.
I'm building another one, though.
You built? Where you built? Oh, we can't know. Okay, all right.
I'll tell you in Westlake.
In Westlake, all right.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
All right, then. In Westlake. Well, that's what's really cool about LT. You see a lot of guys get out there and make it big, and they don't come back home ever again. Guess who came home? LT came home. Absolutely. And the last note before we go on to our next segment, your wife, she is a special lady, doesn't she have, besides putting up with you, I'm talking about, doesn't she got a singing career going, does she not?
Yeah, she does. And, the great thing about my wife, she has supported me for a long time, and I knew she had this gift. But she's been patient, and, we always talk about, God does things at the right time.
Right.
And so her singing career is starting to take off. She just released her first single. It's under the name Torsha Lynn, Lynn, Torsha Lynn. And so her album is coming out later on this year, and she's doing some great things. And I'm there to support her, and I'm that cheerleader for her. So
there we go. That's awesome. That's what a good partnership happens in a marriage. And two great kids. Do we see any athleticism coming up already yet?
Yeah, I tell you what now. That little son I have, You know, but I tell you, he might be a TCU baseball player. I don't know if I want him to play football.
Well, I bet to say you better keep him away from Gary and Sloss.
Well, I've been
they'll
talking
get him
to
signed
Sloss.
right now.
No, I've been talking to Sloss.
Oh, you've been talking to Sloss? Okay, you and Sloss. We hope to host Sloss on here in a little bit. LT, I know this was a brief but quick run through your career and your life, but I wanted the people to know you more for who you are than who you were on the field. We all know who the great LT on the field, but I want them to know what a great human being you are and what a great representative of TCU, San Diego, the Jets, and the community of Fort Worth and this area, the Metroplex area, what you've done here and what you continue to give back. And we just are thrilled you came here tonight.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be back and be a part of this community. And, just it's fun to be going to games. I never got that privilege. I was always the guy on the field. I was always focused on, winning. But now I get to relax and be in the stands and drink a beer and be like, go,
there
team, go.
You drink a beer at a TCU game, we know where you are.
Yep. There you are.
You're not on the east side. We know that. Or the end zones, or the upper deck.
So the burning question, LT, is west side or east side?
I think that would be south side, right?
Okay, there we go. There we go,
south
side. That was a pretty cool answer there, south side. I like that. Okay, guys, we're going to head to a break here, and when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit of Horned Frog football, about this big win we had against West Virginia and the upcoming huge game against Kansas State. We'll be right back after the break.
Hey, Killer Frogs, I'm here at Brewster's today. And as you know, you get 30% off on your food with the coupon you get off of Killer Frogs. What you didn't know is that every Wednesday, they've got Wild Wing.
Ryan! I need to get...
You're back on.
Okay. All right, we're back live. You may have caught me yelling out to Ryan, the manager here, who's done a fabulous job with this full house crowd in here tonight. You guys having a good time out there tonight? I'm going to keep LT up here for about 8 or 9 more minutes up here. He's going to help me a little bit talk, but we brought up Shannon Brazil. Shannon's already been a guest of ours up here, so don't be expecting any more gift certificates, okay?
I'm good. You guys took good care of me already, so I'm good.
Anyway, and if you don't know it, these guys got a little history. They've been best buddies. They got a lot of buddies over here today, but these guys are pretty thick as thieves over here. Maybe the wrong reference, but and Shannon was a great player on that 2000 team with LT, and that's kind of weird. Y'all are best friends. One of you offensive, defense. We used to get after it in practices on each other. I mean, did y'all butt up a few times?
Hey, tell him who I hung around with.
Well, he was the only one on the offense that hung with all the defense. So, we were all good. Don't get me wrong. We were all tight as a family. But he knew where to hang at.
The reason why I hung around defensive guys, I wanted to know their mindset. So I can beat them.
Little strategy there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then. Sean, you got a clip of, was that B.J. Catalon after the West Virginia game?
Yeah, I believe it was, actually.
Let's throw that up there and let's see it on the screen up here behind us.
All right.
TCU! 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 Cross!
Wow.
It's good to see the
You think those guys were a little excited after that win this week?
Awesome.
What do you think, Shannon?
Well, it's good to see the tradition is still going. We used to do that. I looked, I'm like, man, that's us. But they're still doing that, and that's great to see.
That's the same thing. Y'all did that, LT, when you were there?
Yeah.
Is that right?
It is good to see.
Were you guys?
And I'm sure the guys in that other locker room, they heard them. That's the point.
That is the point. You know, last week West Virginia game was a big game. It was 2:30 on Channel 8, big game in the deal. I was up there, and it was pretty cold, pretty windy, not something we were used to on a normal basis. First game TCU had played out of state all year, and that was a tough contest. West Virginia's a pretty good team.
They are a really good team, especially at home. And we saw, you know, early in the season, I think it was the first game, Alabama went up there and struggled.
Right.
And so that's, you know, you have to take it for what it is when you go into West Virginia, that, listen, it's not going to be easy, especially early, but we got to weather the storm. And if we can do that, in the end, we can pull it out. And, of course, that's what we did.
Shannon, they stuck it on Baylor pretty good, too, up there, did they not?
They did.
They did. They flat did it, and so we were on the lookout. But what we didn't expect this week, I know you're friends with Trayvon Boykin, and what a Heisman-type year he is having, but he was off a little bit this past, and everybody has a bad game every now and then. But what is great about this game is even though that Boykin was off, they were able to persevere, and then, you know, Shannon, you know a bit like this, Gary got that defense fixed, and they started shutting down West Virginia.
I'm just glad that we didn't have him on TV saying it was his fault that we lost again.
Absolutely, that would have been awful. You know, we had that happen, but then we talk about Boykin the last two drives. He did what he had to do, LT.
Yeah, and that's a sign of a champion. You know, it doesn't matter what happens within the first 3 or 4 quarters of the game. If you still have a chance to win it within that last 5 minutes, your big play players have to make plays at that time. And that's what we saw. You know, Trayvon Boykin stepped up and showed people why he's in, you know, talks of being, you know, a Heisman front runner. You know, he's right up there within, you know, the 5 guys I think they've been putting up the last couple of weeks. But the point is, that's what I like to see. That's what I want to see, because I know that these games are not perfect. Keep in mind, they're still amateurs.
They are amateurs.
You know what I mean? And so there's going to be things go wrong, but I love the way this
Anytime
the
you have
spirit
young
of these
men,
guys.
but you remember, we remember,
Yeah.
when you're 18 to 23 years old, there's a lot going on. You know, back in the dorm, back at home. I mean, a lot of that we don't want to talk about, do we, boys?
Calling your girlfriend before the game. We on the road.
I mean,
she's not answering the phone.
Where you at?
Where's she at?
No
I
kidding.
can't play.
Beating curfew. You know, anyway, there's all kinds of stuff going on when you're an 18, 23-year-old. But we got out of there. And it seems like we were rewarded handsomely this week in the polls. We're all the way down to number 6 guys in the playoff polls. And the AP, let's see, I believe the AP poll had it at 6.
It's awesome to see. You know, my thing is I'm so nervous for these guys because, again, I think you guys mentioned San Jose. That feeling still sticks with us to this day.
Trap game.
I do not want that for these guys. They've got to win this. I want them to win this game just so they can get past the hump of all the pressure where we could be. So,
you know, I honestly, for me, I'm not worried about this game because the games that, you know, TCU know they have to come to play, and, you know, they can't make any mistakes and turn the football over. They're going to be okay. This is one of those games that K-State, they're not going to give you anything. Right. You have to play perfect football, and we will. So I'm not worried about that. You know, it's the games like at Texas and, you know, Iowa State, you know, these terrible teams that sometimes naturally you haven't, you know, you have the propensity to relax.
We almost did it on the Rose Bowl. All we had to do was beat San Diego State, which we did, but barely at the end, that propelled us in the Rose Bowl. So you do have to be careful, and I'm kind of with you, LT. I think our most dangerous game could be actually UT on Thanksgiving Day. Yeah. They've got a lot of talent. They're a poor team put together right now, but, you know, that's 5-star talent. Yeah, at 5-star, their defense is tough. So I know we focus one at a time, and this is the game to do, but the K-State game is something coming up. Well, I tell you what, we are fixing to let LT, it's time for him to leave and get out of here. Shannon, I guess you're going with LT,
Gotta go.
Got to go with LT. We're going to let these guys pop out of here. We're going to take one more quick break. and we'll have a little West Virginia comeback for you, and then we're going right into K-State. A little program note. We're going to be running 15 or 30 minutes late tonight because we had this great guy here that is Mr. We do have Mr. TCU here. Is that not right? Is Taylor over there? Yeah, there's Mr. TCU. But this guy's got you trumped, Taylor, over here. This is the real Mr. TCU. So we're so glad. Give him a great hand for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks.
All right, we're going to cue up this little West Virginia video for you.
Thanks, Scott.
Hey, Frogs, we've got a couple of passionate West Virginia Mountaineer fans
Let's
here.
go!
Man, you know, these guys, we ran into them down here, and what's y'all's names and where are you from?
My name's Joshua Carey. I'm from South Charleston, West Virginia.
My name's Mark Barrier. I'm from Charleston, West Virginia.
Well, wait a second. You said you're from West Virginia, but what? What did you tell me before we started this?
I was raised in Texas.
Where in Texas?
Dallas, Fort Worth area, Cedar Creek, Athens.
Cedar Creek, Athens, all around, and you don't have any Horned Frog love for you at all in you?
When I grew up, when I first started getting into college football when I was a little kid, I was a TCU fan. But then when I moved out here, hey, you got to show love to these Mountaineers. I've been here 22 years.
You guys are pretty passionate here, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Good deal. So, y'all been doing this for a long time. Y'all tailgate every game out here?
Everyone we can make it to.
Every game you come to? All right. Y'all got girlfriends, wives? What's going on? Wives?
I got a wife. I got 4 kids, 2 grandkids.
Really?
Yes, sir.
You're not a day over 25. You got how many grandkids?
2. I'll be 30.
This is a real West Virginia Mountaineer story here,
hey,
guys.
I'm almost 39.
You're almost 39. Okay, all right, guys. Well, you know, this is a great place. Y'all are great fans, passionate fans here.
Thank you.
And we appreciate, you know, y'all shown good hospitality here to us 2 years in a row.
Hey, we appreciate
well, not 2 years in a row, every other year for 2 years. But that's
Absolutely.
right. But it's been great here, and we've enjoyed being with you guys. What do y'all do here in West Virginia? What kind of sign? Do y'all have any kind of sign or anything? Or you pull a tooth, or what do you do? I don't know.
See,
No, I just wondered.
Hey, we burn couches.
You burn couches. That's what it is, guys.
We beat teams.
All right, then. All right. Well, go on and give your Go Mountaineers. Go Mountaineers.
Let's go,
Let's
Mountaineers.
go, Mountaineers!
Go Frogs. All right.
How about that?
Are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
We're back. All right. We're back live. There goes LT in front of the camera and Shannon Brazil. They're on their way out of here. By the way, on behalf of Killer Frogs and Brewsters, we gave LT a $50 gift certificate, courtesy of Killer Frog. And also the, good to see you, man. On behalf of the Letterman's Association, gave him a blackout shirt. On behalf of Greg Blackwell and the Letterman's Association. We've got a lot of Lettermen in here tonight. How many Lettermen we got here? How about a big yell out here? Not very many yelling out. Y'all not going to say anything, huh?
They're enjoying those.
They're all
60-cent
quiet
rings.
over there. Okay, well, we've got a bunch. Just had a bunch walk out of here. Sean, we're ready to talk about K-State here in a few minutes. What do you think?
I think this is going to be the game, obviously. I mean, I agree that, you know, as you guys were talking about trap games, I agree with LT. I mean, Kansas State's not exactly a game this team is going to be looking past.
Absolutely, and it is a prime time game as the Garvins go across our TV here. That was not a sunspot. That was Mr. Garvin going across there, and so no eclipses. That's only when I walk across the camera. But
hey, you know, real quick programming note: we did extend the time limit. So for those of you streaming at home, and there's several hundred of you.
I hope
we
more than several
we
hundred.
are going long today, so this is
we are going long.
The after hours show.
This is the after hour.
This is the
after
late
the
show.
show. This is the plus section. Let's talk about. And the Garvins. The Garvins just going to be all over our TV.
It is an
show.
internet show, folks.
There we go. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about K-State. Okay.
Number 7.
Number 7 K-State got a lot of respect this week.
Oh yeah.
They hopped
Rightfully
over
so.
some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. And so it's set up for a 6 and 7 showdown. Primetime TV on Fox at 6:30. We finally get a
Night
6:30
game.
game. Night game. Yay, somebody other than Samford. Anyway, that's great. We're going to be on national TV. Let's talk a little bit about, first, the great Bill Snyder.
Unbelievable coach.
I mean, he's 136 years old. He's been,
maybe not quite that old, but yeah.
He didn't start coaching like in 1980.
1980?
No, 1886, excuse me. Anyway,
wrong
no,
century.
Bill Snyder's 75 years old, and I make fun of him, but there's nothing to make fun of Bill Snyder. He's a genius.
Well, not only that, but all of his teams are well-coached teams.
Right.
They don't make mistakes. I mean, they play mistake-free football. And this is a guy that has been lauded as, just like Gary Patterson. In fact, Patterson mentioned this yesterday at his press conference. Here's a coach in Snyder that's lauded as one of the best at the top of his career, because he's been able to win at a place that traditionally you don't win at K-State.
You don't win at K-State,
No.
and when he went away from K-State, they didn't win again.
No, they didn't win.
And
No.
they brought him back for another time, and he was already a legend.
Yeah.
And now he's back.
He's
and
playing. He's playing in a stadium that's named after,
well, he's considered.
He walks into his own stadium.
Well, I'll tell you what else is an astounding stat about K-State. 58 players on their roster was either a walk-on at one time or now still a walk-on that are on his roster. It's
blue-collar team.
This is a very blue-collar. TCU kind of built its reputation on that for a while when we were moving up through the WAC and Conference USA and the Mountain West. But, we're able to get a little better quality athletes now, and I look for a tremendous recruiting year this year. However, Snyder does it with some of those guys. One of those guys is an all-conference player.
Yeah, this is a fantastic team. There's no doubt about it, and they're going to bring their game, and they're going to play great Bill Snyder football, and we're going to have to be perfect to beat them.
Well, let's talk a little bit on the offensive side. Offensive side, they average rushing 178 yards per game. That's 57th in the NCAA. Passing, 251 yards per game, 47th. Overall, they're the 57th offense. I would have thought that would have been a little higher, but not.
Yeah, no, their offense is they really don't hang their hat on offense nearly as much as you would think.
As they have their defense go. Their defense. We'll talk about their defense in a minute.
But once again, I mean, the offense, they execute.
Right.
And that's the important thing. They're not flashy. They're not Baylor. They're not TCU against Tech. I mean, they execute very well. They're going to go down, and if you give them a chance to beat you late in the game, they'll beat you.
And what triggers them and what makes that machine roll is Jake Waters, their quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he reminds me of the guy a couple of years ago that
Klein?
Who?
Klein?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Klein, I look at them there. I see some similarities there in how he's able to run the ball and scare you either way with the dual threat.
Yeah, I tell you what, I would not want to be a linebacker planning for this game.
Big boy.
Yeah.
He's got 1,878 yards passing, only 3 interceptions. That's a huge number. Only 3 interceptions, 11 TDs passes, but he's had 95 rushes. Guess where those 95 rushes rank among him and the running backs?
First?
Number 1 rusher as
first
far as the number of rushes on the team. 404 yards, 7 TDs, and he has a 4.3 yardage at a clip. So he's very dangerous on the run.
And we've always had problems with mobile quarterbacks.
We have had trouble with mobile quarterbacks, but I'm thinking, this is closer to a traditional team than we've had in a while. This isn't a wide-open offense like Texas Tech and Oklahoma State or Baylor. And so I got to think the defense is ready to see more of an offense like this.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, while we have had problems with mobile quarterbacks, I have to admit that the offense that Kansas State runs matches up really well with the defense that TCU runs. And I think that given the way both squads have been playing lately, if the offense comes back off of this West Virginia win, and where their performance was just terrible until late in the game, if they come back and they play the same ball we saw in the beginning of the year, the first 7 games or so, I honestly think that this team, the Bill Snyder team, probably will not have enough offensive output to match us.
Right. And I think you got a point there. They're not real varied at the receiver position. They've got 2 receivers.
Yeah, but they're good.
Yeah, and they're good. I mean, but they are real good. You talk about Tyler Lockett.
Oh.
He's an All-American.
Well, and he's closing in on his father's records at Kansas State. He's got 3 records his dad holds at Kansas State, and he's just right behind him. I think he needs 3 touchdowns and
I know he's got
30 receptions.
He's got 5
like
TDs for the year.
6 yards.
He's got 682 yards for the year and 49 receptions. Along with Curry Sexton does not have the flash and dash that he's got. 49 receptions, 609 yards, 3 TDs. But that's it. Everybody else we played this year has had receivers all over the board with all kinds. We're getting down to 2 receivers here we're looking at.
Yeah, well, but, the other thing is that Lockett is just one of those kind of guys, though, and he doesn't just play offense either. I mean, he plays special teams. But he's the kind of guy that literally you get the ball in his hands and he can make magic happen.
Well, and we faced one of those guys last week, number 11,
but I mean, I have to discount last week a little bit. I mean, Kevin White played a phenomenal game.
Right.
But, I mean, I think the weather played such a huge
Kevin White
factor.
or that Kevin White? I think our Kevin White played a phenomenal
The Kevin
game.
White in purple.
The Kevin White
The only
purple.
Kevin White that really matters.
But helmet sticker on ESPN.
You did. I called
absolutely.
it. I said if he didn't
get
the helmet
that.
sticker, I would have been very
That's
disappointed.
correct.
But, May gave him one. But I tell you what, Lockett is one of those kind of guys that he is an explosive player whenever he touches the ball. And the keys for Kansas State to win this game is to get him the ball early and often. But if Kevin White can shut him down again, just like he did the other Kevin White in West Virginia, not only are we going to win this game, we're going to win this game going away. But I honestly think last week is a little bit of an aberration because you had such a horrible situation with the weather and the wind.
Weather was tough.
And both quarterbacks looked horrible when they had to play against the wind. In fact, I think one of the things that they were saying at West Virginia is that as they were coming off, the quarterback was just so razzled or just frazzled by the actual wind and the conditions, he didn't feel comfortable throwing the ball in the fourth quarter, which is what led to their conservative play calling.
Well, and obviously our quarterback was not comfortable throwing the ball last week until the end.
That's it, yeah.
Until the end. But,
he made it happen when it counted.
Yeah,
that's
right.
all that matters.
Let me go back to the rushing game. I kind of stopped over that after talking about Jake Waters. But they do have a couple of rushers with 92 rushes this year. Charlie Jones, he's got 431 yards and 11 TDs. And then we've got DeMarcus Robinson with he's got about 80 rushes, 332 yards, 4 TDs. So, the rushing game, that kind of plays into our game. I mean, we want them to rush.
We definitely do.
And where we've been hurt by the running game is usually been against the spread offenses and how that opens up the running game.
Yeah.
We get to more pure offense here. Now, there's no doubt that Jake Waters is a fine passer too, and we're going to have to watch that. But like I said, it's a much more conventional offense that they run, and hopefully we will do well with that. They also have a pretty experienced offensive line. They've got the offensive Big 12 offensive all-conference center there, and B.J. Finney. And B.J. Finney's a big time. He kind of glues that offensive line together for him.
Yeah, and that offensive line is going to be key to the game. Maybe if they can protect Waters and give him just enough time to be able to find that open man, then definitely it's going to be we've got a limbo contest going on over here.
Yeah, is that my wife doing the limbo?
Yeah, I think it is.
Anyway.
It's all sorts of excitement down here,
that's a
folks, at
six-footer
Brewster's.
doing
Come on
limbo.
down.
There we go.
We got 60-cent wings, beer, and limbo. But, yeah, no, the offensive line is going to be key. And I think the defensive line, we had they're a bit banged up after West Virginia. I mean, that West Virginia game was the most physical game of the year.
Well,
absolutely. I mean, bar none is the most physical game. And I think how this team bounces back physically after that sort of a game, and especially that defensive line. We need the defensive line to get pressure. They need to get pressure on Waters.
Well, football weather, cold weather, and anybody that's played at any level knows that that's when you get banged up more than just about any time in the cold weather. But you're right. We definitely need to get pressure around the end zone there and take some heat off. I'm sure I would think there'd be a lot of spying on this quarterback. I would think that either Marcus Mallett or our other great linebacker
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our other great linebacker?
Yeah, who's our other great linebacker?
Dawson.
Dawson, that's
There you
right,
go.
Paul Dawson. And so,
Who showed his skills as an ex-wide receiver, though, didn't he? At West Virginia. You see that little grab he made on the sideline?
listen, that guy's an athlete.
Oh, my
man.
gosh.
He's a great athlete. He's made some great interceptions. This
Yeah,
year already.
I tell you what, he's been
He's
been
done-
all over the field.
He's
this
done
year.
great.
I love it.
But our defense locked down last week, and they're going to have to do that again. Let's pop over to the K-State defensive side here. Wow. They've been steady this year and pretty solid. They're leading the Big 12.
They are
At this point. Now, I will say this.
but you do have to put in the fact who they've played so far in the Big 12.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, they really haven't played some of the bigger explosive offensives.
That's correct.
As of
Other
yet.
than Oklahoma.
But even Oklahoma, I mean, we have to say Oklahoma had a bit of an off game against them. When your kicker misses extra points and field goals that are literally a chip shot, you could have made some of those field goals that guy missed. But when
Maybe
you have
with a
that
Nerf ball.
But I tell you what, Oklahoma beat themselves in that game.
Right.
That wasn't because Kansas State
no doubt
controlled the ball.
But you got to give Kansas State credit, too. I mean, they could have won earlier in the year in their Big 12. Was it Florida State?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they had that game. And they let that go. But then they should have lost to Iowa State. You know, they did. Iowa State had them the whole game.
You know, it's the interesting thing about college football, right? Every week. You got to play
different
every week.
deal.
And, Kansas State's one of those teams that if you look at their resume, and talking about resumes as they were talking about TCU's ranking and Alabama's ranking this year, or this week rather, Kansas State's resume is kind of a head-scratcher too. I mean, if you really look at who they played and how they won,
right?
It's one of those kind of things where it's like, you know, I'm appreciative that they're 7. I think they belong in the top 10 easily. But their resume against the Big 12 teams that they've played so far is not necessarily as illustrious as some of the other teams.
And you just hope they're not destined. You know, and not that I really believe in that, but, you know, it gets that feeling sometime when teams win games the way they've won them.
Yeah.
And think, you know, I see them as a very bland team, Sean. I don't see any, you know, other than Tyler
Lockett.
Lockett.
There's no flash.
There's no flash and dash to them. Their defense is very steady. But I think I really think that our offense, I think Boykin will get it back in. Hopefully.
Well, I hope so. I know Coach has limited his availability to the press.
Right.
You know, obviously LT's been talking to him, but
yeah, LT.
You know, hopefully Boykin is doing what he needs to do, studying what he needs to study, and getting his head straight.
Right.
After all this Heisman talk and everything after the Tech game is now kind of died down a little bit. I hope he's finally got his head on and realizes the mistakes that he made. In fact, it was actually pretty big that was reported. It was big of him. After the game, he stood up in the locker room and he told the entire team, you know, it's my bad. It's my mistake.
He took responsibility for almost loss.
And that's a leader, and I love seeing that out of him.
Right, right. Well, like I said, I think this game stacks up well for TCU. You got to be happy with what happened. I mean, we wouldn't be here on special teams had not been for Jaden Overcrome being able to make that kick there in tough, windy conditions. I know we had the wind at our back, but people didn't realize how that wind was swirling around there in that stadium. He said it was a tricky wind. And
well, you were there. What were the conditions like during that kick?
Well, let me tell you, I wouldn't come out of the press box. I mean, it was that cold. I mean, Wes and I went up there, and we went around and a little bit of tailgating before and talked to some of the people.
A little moonshine?
Oh, well, Wes did. Absolutely. Wes did get a little moonshine and got a little wheezy on just a little bit of moonshine. He's still not sure what was packed in that thing. But we got up there, and we decided to head up in. I mean, it was blusterly cold. I mean, you know, wind chill was down. The stadium cut down on some of the wind down there, but it caused it to swirl within the stadium.
Well, I know Jaden mentioned that, you know, he was worried about the wind.
Absolutely.
And he said he got a solid hit on it, but when he looked up, he knew it wasn't moving at all, and he knew he had hit it.
Well, it came down to a field goal, or we're out of the playoff contention right there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Out of the playoff.
That playoff is the difference from us falling way down in the polls or us moving up at number 6. That's how huge that was.
Well, and you know, that's the kind of win that builds confidence. And it's the kind of win this team needed.
Right.
You know, after everything that happened last year, all the close losses that we had last year, the loss against Baylor, the fourth quarter collapse, To see them come back and get a win like this on the road, that this team did 2 years ago in the same kind of crazy fashion, is the kind of win that I think really will help the team build the confidence and move forward, because they realize they can come in, they can get their teeth kicked in for a quarter and a half, they can stick in it, they can lean on each other, and at the very end when it counts, they can come away with a win.
And you know, it's obvious not just to us, but for the first time in the history of modern history, TCU, we're being recognized that way by the press and by the pundits. So. We're in just about everybody's top 6. We're in some people's top 4 right now.
Yeah, and that's it's kind of amazing. I was talking to a couple of coworkers today, and they were just like, "Man, this is just amazing what TCU's doing." And you know, we've been following this, and we kind of all follow the hype, and so we're kind of in that kind of wave for a while, and you have to stop for a second to look back. You know, I was saying, you know, if I could just jump back in time and talk to any Frog fan 4 months ago, and I said, hey, look, going into the Kansas State game in November, we would be where we are right now, number 6 in the country, in everybody's playoff talk. Nope. You would have looked at me as though I had grown a third eye in the middle of my forehead.
It wasn't fathomable.
No, I mean, after a 4-8 season, nobody
4-8 with an offense that could not move the ball and a new offense that's very difficult to learn. I mean, it is not only the coaches, not only the new offensive coaches, and we have covered Meacham and Cumbie and gang over and over, but that the kids, that they bought into it and that they've grown into it. I thought if we could get to this time in the season and be halfway decent, maybe we would have been about 500 and then win the rest of our games just because the offense would get going.
Yeah.
To be at this point right here and be in the national playoff picture, I mean, we're in the national title talk. I mean, that's it. We can be going back to the Rose Bowl. We can be going to Sugar Bowl, and you win that, you're going to Dallas. We'll be home. I mean, I know that's big thinking. We got to take one at a time. But isn't it fun? Isn't it fun?
It is fun to play what if at this point, isn't it?
We've never been able to play what if, you know, and here we are playing what if.
Yep.
And we've got the respect that we've always wanted. So, you know, there's another big game going on this weekekend.
Yeah, we have Oklahoma and Baylor.
Oklahoma and Baylor. In Norman.
And they get the 11 o'clock slot.
That's right. And nice. I think everybody's become a real hard Oklahoma fan this weekend. Is that not right?
Boomer.
Boomer Sooner. We're going to actually say Boomer Sooner on here. But that's right, Boomer. There we go. But we definitely we'll be pulling for the Sooners this weekend against those Bears.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to go for the Sooners on this one, because if they can beat Baylor at that point in time, that really opens it up. It's just a win-out situation.
There's no question.
We have the Big 12 championship at that point. We definitely get into the playoffs. And
I don't think Baylor can overcome it. So I think the national press does look at it that we're a better team than Baylor.
Well, I mean, it's obvious. If you listen to how they actually justified putting Alabama above TCU, and don't get me wrong, Alabama's a great football team.
Right.
An absolutely great football team, and they play in a good conference. But I don't think it's as tough as the Big 12. But they play in a good conference.
They do.
And I think if you look at the rest of the games that they have to play this season, if they win out, there's no question they should be in there. But you take a look at how they actually came to the conclusion that at this point, with this resume, that Alabama is better than TCU. It's an eyeball test.
It is.
And when you take that same eyeball test and you apply it to Baylor and TCU, there's no doubt it's TCU.
And the data supports, it seems like that if we win out, we will be in that top 4.
Yeah, well, and you're talking about, you got some people, Alabama's got to play, some of the people ahead of us.
They play Auburn, Mississippi State, championship game, whatever happens there. Right.
They're going to lose.
There's going to be some elimination game. We're in an elimination game.
Yeah, well, this game right here, this is basically
we lose
the
this
championship game right
We
here.
lose this game, K-State takes our place as the TCU. TCU.
This is the Big 12 championship game this Saturday.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is why everyone needs to show up.
And we do need to have a big crowd out there. Well, Sean, I guess we're getting to the time here where we're going to, talk about how do you think this game's going to go? What are you looking at?
All the predictions I've made the last couple of weeks, I mean, I started off with a really wild prediction and then brought it back in A little bit of a reverse jinx there. We
Right.
scored 82 points at Tech.
Right.
Did the same thing in West Virginia, and I actually was pretty darn close to the prediction at West Virginia. So,
Right.
I honestly think that I'm going to give you – all right. I'm going to say this. I think TCU wins this game, and I think it's going to be about 38-27.
Like it. I like it. But I thought you were going to give me a hard time about something tonight.
Well, yeah, for those of you who didn't watch last week, and shame on you for not watching last week, but for those of you who didn't watch last week, Scott made a point to call out Gary Patterson.
I did. I called out Gary Patterson. That's right.
You did. And he called out Gary Patterson for one thing in particular. And that was, and I believe, and I may be paraphrasing here, but let me see if I get the quote right. I wish he'd stop talking about that win by 1 point.
Yeah,
BS.
win by 1 point. And I think.
And wait. What was the?
Okay, I get it.
Margin
I
of
get it.
victory on
I
Saturday
get it. I've
against
been hearing it all week from you. I got it. 31-30. We won by 1 point, and we're darn happy to have won by 1 point. I'm just saying, still, in this system, you've got to have some style points. That was style points enough up in West Virginia. I'm not sure that if we do that against Kansas, or we do that against Iowa State, or we do that against Texas.
Oh, I hope we don't do that against Kansas.
Yeah, I mean, that's awful. But we're at home this week, and he's already talking about win by 1 point again. I just wish he'd get a different slogan than that. I mean, it paid off good this past week. He would have won by a lot more, and I believe he would have. But taking that, I don't believe in win by 1 point, as you know, and I actually think that this weekend we're going to win about 42-21.
42-21.
I expect a big game by the Frogs. This is, when LT brought that up, I was so much in agreement with him. I'd been thinking that all week. Oh, there we go. Shotgun. J.R. Walker and the All-Stars. All right, baby. Well, I'm going to tell you.
But you really think we're going to win by 3 touchdowns?
I think we're going to win by I do. I think we're going to win by 17 points to 21 points.
Wow. Okay.
I think this is
I hope you're right.
I think this Kansas State team has not been tested by an offense like TCU has. And I think we're at home. It is going to be a rowdy, raunchous crowd. And I think he's going to want to stick it on them down here. It reminds me a lot of what we'll probably have. People brought this up. The Utah crowd that we had here before.
2009
Everybody
Utah?
thought that was a toss-up game, and we went in there and routed them.
Oh, we did.
And
Well, the difference in that game, though, was the fan support.
And the fans
came out. They were rabid. They were in their seats at the beginning of the kickoff, and it was just an unbelievable atmosphere.
And it's got to be here again. Sean, what do you think, buddy? I think we're at the end of the ride here tonight.
I think we are. We're coming down to the end.
We're coming down the end. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Sean and I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the great guest we had on tonight. Y'all been a great crowd staying out there with us. I know we ran a little long today, but anytime you get LT, we're going to let LT go as long as he wants to go. Isn't that right?
He could be on here.
Yeah,
anytime.
we'd still be on if he was still here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
We go all night.
Well, we got a big game, Sean. Got to get ready. Need everybody out there. How about a big Go Frogs, Sean? Go Frogs! Beat K-State.